Hello and welcome, BitMonger family. Jay Monger here with you today, wishing you all well. In today's video, we'll be looking at why the BitMonger thinks that investing in buying land or building a home in the Philippines is a fool's run. And today, I'm going to look at why you might want to really reconsider if you're thinking about buying land and building a home in the Philippines. I think it's a big mistake. Now, if you're wealthy and you can afford it, go for it. Another thing, if you're not wealthy and you're going to do it because you're married to a Filipina or you're in that kind of situation where you know you're locked in there, then I would only put in what I could afford to lose, okay? Because the place is a disaster zone, and I am going to show you exactly why, the logic behind my thinking. So, yeah, if you can afford to, if you're just going to build a cheap place for you and your family, it's not that expensive, and you can afford to upkeep it, maintain it in case there's a problem, go for it. I would actually say only invest what you really can afford to lose. But then again, there's exceptions to the rule. You know, like I said, maybe you got a wife and kid and you want to make something for them. I get it. But you're going to have to, you should be factoring in a lot of things and on how you might want to be building it or what location you want to do it in before you make that step. So the reason why I'm so against it is because I kind of alluded to it earlier, is that the Philippines is a disaster zone. Take a look at this, guys. So if you know anything about the Philippines, which I assume most of you guys do if you're watching this video, it is prone to typhoons. It's in what they call Typhoon Alley. And if you're not familiar with the term typhoon, it's the same thing as a hurricane, but that's what they call hurricanes in the Eastern Hemisphere. And so what you can see here is a list of typhoons that have impacted the Philippines, and they happen quite frequently. I mean, this is something that goes on every year. You know, every year there's typhoons that hit this place. It's kind of like Florida in the States, but worse. Okay, and we all know, if you know anything about U.S. real estate and you know about hurricanes and you know anything about insurance, well, there's a reason why, insurance is off the roof. It's because it's a highly prone area to get hit. And that's something that you need to be thinking about. If you're building a home in the Philippines, well, you might want to try to build it hurricane proof. You're one of the the three little pigs. You need to be building a place in case it huffs and puffs, it doesn't blow it down, right? That might cost you. Or you just yeah. But this is something serious that you need to be thinking about, guys. Seriously. And or positioning as well. Like if you're living around a bunch of other in a community, and those members, maybe they don't have much money, they didn't build their houses well, it's just corrugated steel. Well, guess what? In a freaking windstorm, that could just be a death machine flying through the air if something like that hits you. You've probably seen that from way back when, of that. I think it was a piece of straw or something like this in a massive hurricane, or I can't remember. It might have been a tornado, but it pierced a coin. So you need to be wary, guys. Really wary. Let's take a look at this one too. What's this? So yeah, tropical storms. The thing that goes with these typhoons is then you have these massive floods. So you get torrential downpours. That comes with the hurricane, guys. So you have, you know, what is the biggest flood in the Philippines? We have this one tropical storm, Ondoy, 2009, killed, nearly 500 people. Rest in peace to those people. Sendang, 2011, that one killed 1,500 people. Pablo in 2012, almost 1,900 people. This is just, it's sad, but it's a reality that you need to be considering. So in addition to, having needing to think about your positioning, you need to be thinking about these other areas of runoff. Where is that water going to run off when it dumps? And if you're along a mountainside, that could be nasty. With that also comes mudslides, guys. You have mudslides. So things to consider. Here we got floods in the Philippines. They even have a website here, Earth Observatory, floods in the Philippines. You can see, look at that. And you can see as it comes, like I said, they're correlated. They come together. You get flooding with these typhoons. It can be very, very destructive, guys, extremely destructive. And if you're building a house and it's in the way, it might be, you might be in your living room, waist deep in water. Be careful. Here's a website. You can check it out. It's basically like our NOAA, the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical Astronomical Service Administration. That's a mouthful. All right, so they have flood information here. If you guys are living there, you might want to look at this, watch the site. Metro Manila. This is an area that's going to is potential danger, similar to Bangkok. They're right on the water, and with flooding, it can get really bad there. So the next thing on the thing of why you might want to why I think it's a fool's errand to be buying or building houses in the Philippines is this. Earthquakes. The Philippines sits right on the ring of fire. It's in that tectonic zone, but it is in a major layer. I mean, we got a whole bunch of plates meeting up here, guys. A bunch of plates. The tectonic plates there are off the chart. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at this. Map of notable earthquakes in the Philippines from 1900 till now. Look at that. Look at that, guys. It's just a freaking sea of red. I mean, oh yeah, it's genius. I'm going to dump a bunch of money into a fucking house in the Philippines, and it's going to get ripped apart by either a typhoon or flooded or it's going to fall apart due to one of these freaking earthquakes, Thinking, guys. Thinking. Use your brain. Subduction zones. Look at this. It's just right on a freaking, all the plates right here. It's insane. Slip zones, And, what happens with slip zones, I'll get into that into a second. So here we have earthquakes going back to the Spanish period. We got these, 20th century. Look at that list of guys. And these are not tiny earthquakes, These are like, look at that. Look at the magnitude. 7.6, 7.8, 8.3, 8.3, 6.8, 7.3, 7.5, 7.8, 7.6, 7.3, 7.5, 8. You start getting above 7, these things they can get nasty, especially as soon as you start getting above 8, my God. High 7s, 8s, man, things are fucking shaking hard, man. 21st century, here we are. And look at this, Mindanao, Samar, Mindanao, Negros, Samar, Bohol, Surigao, Leyte, Luzon, Eastern Samar, Cotabato, Batanes, Cotabato, the Val de Sur. Okay? Yeah, my point? You get it? You guys getting it? And it seems like just since the start of the year, look at that. There's a freaking long list. Seems like activity's on the rise, right? That's what I can see with looking back at the past century, and here we are in the 21st century, and we're only like a quarter of the way into it, and we already got this long-ass list. Deadliest earthquakes. These are some big ones. The Morro Gulf was a nasty one. That happened in 76. 10,000 people injured. 2,288 people gone missing. 1,791 deaths. Rest in peace. God rest, bless their souls. Yeah. This is nasty, guys. This is nasty. So, now, if you know anything about earthquakes, well, what comes with earthquakes? Tsunamis. Right? Look at this map. Tsunamis are caused by earthquakes, one side or other seismic eruptions on the ground of the ocean, and can cause massive tidal waves, which run enormous force on land, causing great devastation, especially in regions with only few tsunamis. The damage is often drastic, as the population does not expect tsunamis and thus hardly takes any protective measures. Even relatively small flood waves can lead to high losses and financial damage. Okay, so look at this. The marked positions on the map represent the most affected regions within the past 280 years. Look at this, guys. In this zone. You notice something? Wow. It's pretty much only the Philippines. And then there should be some over here in Aceh, because you also get them in Indonesia, especially on the northern tip of Sumatra. Anyways, so there you go, guys. Look at that. You guys know how to swim well? Think if you got a beach house, they could get absolutely devastated. They even had a Tsunami Awareness Day, okay? This is legit. This is something that you guys got to be thinking about. And then here's the next one. Active volcanoes. Wonderful. Look, here's a list of all the active volcanoes in the Philippines, guys. Quite a bit. I don't know if you guys remember Pinatubo. I think this is the one that went off over by Angeles City in the 80s and just destroyed it. Basically, it was the death nail in that Air Force base that the U.S. ran over there. They're like, fuck it, we're out. Pinatubo. Note it in the comments if you guys remember that one from way back in the day. And they even have a list of disasters in the Philippines inside of Wikipedia. Okay, I'm sure there's a section of you guys out there that might be thinking of this more as like an investment in terms of social activity. You know, maybe you're making a bar or a restaurant or that type of thing, and you want to use this as a way to socialize. I get that. And for those guys, I would just say, go for it. But I wouldn't invest a lot of money into something like that just because the probabilities are not in your favor. I wouldn't factor it into my cash stream, or my income stream, I should say. If you can just do it and it's even, you're neutral, wonderful. Because if you're just looking for it to serve as a social aspect, to meet, cool people, hang out, that type of thing, then fantastic. That can work. But generally speaking, small businesses go out of business. There's all kinds of paperwork and headache that could also go with that, managing staff, orders, food turnover, that type of stuff. I just would find it more of a headache. So I would stream it into something very simple if you were to do something like that. Have just a couple items and mostly in a good selection of booze and beer. The other thing is, if you're looking to invest in condos, just basically the ROI on real estate in the Philippines is not that great. I think it's, you're lucky if you're getting 5 or 6%. That's not keeping up with global inflation. To me, it's not a good place to make an investment in those terms. I mean, if you got a lot of money and you can afford to allocate a small portion of your portfolio, or a high net worth individual and you got a lot of money and you can afford to put that there and it's not a large percentage of your holdings, okay, that can work. But again, it's generally speaking, it hasn't been one that's paid well. But then again, you can never discount the factor of personal value, okay? So if you're living in it and using it and you can extract a lot of value and it makes you really happy, it's hard to put a price tag on something like that. So I'm not going to just completely ignore, because when I bought properties before, I had some people that were like, why would you do that? And well, it's because I'm semi-introverted. I don't mind living in the place that's more off the beaten path. I'm not looking at necessarily as an investment. This is more of a place for me just to enjoy my time and reap those benefits of living in a place that I find really comfortable, and I get a lot back from it. But for clarity, yeah, when I bought this place at the time, it's not even 5% of my net worth. So I could, even if I were to completely lose it, I could take that little punch and shoulder roll it. So going back to this, considering all those things, and in conclusion, basically here, factor in all the natural disasters that can occur, the fact that you probably aren't going to get that good of an ROI, and then there's the fact that, let's face it, in terms of property rights there, unless you're buying a condo, you can't own shit. You can lease it. There's ways that you can structure it to try to protect yourself. But yeah, those are the reasons why I believe if you invest a lot of money in the Philippines in a property, it's probably a fool's errand. But if you get a lot of value out of it, that's wonderful. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Monger on.